I raised my credit score from 307 to 805 completely for free, from no credit cards in my wallet to some of the top tier cards now in my wallet. In this video, I will go over the steps that I took to raise my credit score from very bad to excellent. And later in this video, I will give you what's the best time to start reclaiming and repairing your credit score. My financial knowledge is mostly through the mistakes that I've made. And due to my lack of financial knowledge, I did not know the importance of credit score and credit history. Now, credit score is something with what the bank and the lender evaluates your credit worthiness and offers you favorable terms for credit cards and mortgage or car payments with lower interest and better financial offers. Think of your credit score like a report card for your money. Your credit score is a number that goes from 300 to 850. The higher your number, the better you are at handling money. And that means that you might get a lower interest rate, especially if it's below 600. It can be hard to get a loan, or they might charge you a lot of interest because they worry that you might not pay them back. It's the deciding factor in building your net worth, securing the best real estate deals and enjoying freebies, or alternatively paying with an arm and a leg in unnecessary interest due to negligence. Because of my poor financial planning and being young and stupid, I did not realize that my actions were going to haunt me and cost me a lot of money in the long run. I got my first credit card when I just turned 18 from Bank of America. I used to bank with them back then. I went ahead and applied for a credit card, not realizing what I was getting myself into or how to even maintain a credit card. I remember I was approved for a credit card with a $300 credit limit, and the bank gave me a temporary card on the spot. The bank was literally 5 minutes away from the apartment that I was living in. I kid you not. By the time I reached home, which was right after I left the bank, the $300 was gone. There was a mall on my way back. Not to mention I bought shit that I didn't really need. I started opening up line of credits through different stores and banks, not knowing how to properly use them. Then when it came to pay the bill, which I was okay with in the beginning, paying my bills on time, but slowly I started missing payments. As I was paying only the minimum in the beginning, the credit cards were unusable as the entire limit was used. I was racking up interest rate, which was astronomically high, by the way, because the credit card interest rates are usually very high. Then I bought my first car, which was a Mazda 6 for $15,000 financed to Chase Bank for 5 years. I was making the car payment on time. However, the credit cards, I stopped making payments for those altogether, and the accounts ended up in collections. Then I had to take a trip out of the country for 2 months, which turned out to be an 11-month-long trip, and after making the payments for the car for almost 4.5 years, the car was repoed while I was gone. And the bank was asking me to pay the remaining balance, which I believe was roughly around $5,000, to pay it and get the car out of the lot. But I was out of the country and I didn't really have the money to get the car out. Now, with multiple cards in collection and a repossession on my credit score was extremely bad, and no bank or anyone would give me any credit to recover it. No cars, no credit, and also no savings. My life was turned upside down, and I have to get a grip on my finances. Hi, my name is Tasvir Mirza. I'm a realtor and a diversified investor based in South Florida. And on this channel, I make finance-related videos based on my mistakes. Feel free to jump around the timestamp below if you'd like to save some time. And while you're down there, consider liking the video. It helps the channel a lot. I came back from my trip around 2012, and instead of financing a car or having anyone to co-sign for a car, I ended up buying a cheap 2000 or 2001 Nissan Altima for $1,500. The car had almost 100,000 miles on it, and the car was in an accident and had a triangle hood like this. Hey, but the car was driving. Now, with my immaculate credit history, no bank was ready to give me any loan to build up my credit. What I did first was to contact the collection agency who were holding the accounts and reporting on my credit as derogatory accounts. I found out what accounts the collection agencies were reporting on and negotiated with them how much they would accept in order for me to pay the accounts off to get the derogatory accounts out of my credit report. Here's something you need to understand about the collection agencies, the bank, and how they work. The banks provide you credit. Based on your credit history and the credit handling, 3 credit bureaus, which are Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, reports a score on your credit report. Now, you may think that when you don't pay the banks back, the bank goes under. Rightfully so. If you've borrowed, you need to pay back. However, when the banks don't get their money back, they put you on the book as a bad debt. Now, when these bad debts increases so much on their books, that's when the government comes and bails them out. Yes, banks are your friend, and you should absolutely return what you borrow. Even with the bails out, all those bad debts account on the bank's book, they don't easily let those go. What happens then is they sell those accounts to the collection agencies. At that point, you become a lead. These collection agencies, let's say, would pay pennies on the dollar for every account. Then these collection agencies would try to collect on those debt more than what they paid for a profit. Every financial organization has their designated collection agencies where they provide your information to collect the debt. However, when your account would go to collection, you would see multiple collection agencies will try to contact you to collect the debt on the same account. Remember how I said you become a lead? Your information is now sold to multiple collection agencies who would try to collect the debt and would promise you to get the derogatory account out of your credit report. However, majority of them are fraudulent. Whatever they collect, it goes into their pocket. They will not provide you any service or removing the derogatory account out of your credit report whatsoever. Knowing that, I contacted the collection agencies and the bank to find out if this is the collection agencies the bank were dealing with. When the account goes to collection, the bank cannot collect the debt as they have already sold the account or they have closed the books as a bad debt. If the bank authorizes that this is the collection agency, I asked the collection agencies to send me a written letter stating that they would remove the derogatory account from my credit history once the debt is paid on whatever amount that we negotiated or the payments term that we negotiated. There were multiple accounts where the collection agency was not able to provide me any written letter. At that point, I did not send them any payment because it was really hard for me to track at that point which collection agency was real and which was fraudulent, as I was bombarded with collection calls. Then it came to disputing the charge. I had so many derogatory accounts on my credit report, which was dragging my credit score down. I used a website called annualcreditreport.com, which was free, by the way. Every year, you're able to pull out your credit report, and all the accounts that was reporting on my credit as a derogatory account, causing my credit score to diminish, I disputed all of them. Every single one of the derogatory account. Now, here's something that I need to add. There are multiple financial organizations or collection agencies who were reporting on my credit history, sometimes for even the same account, as it was sold to multiple collection agencies. Some of these accounts were 7 years older. Under the Fair Credit Act, derogatory marks may stay in your credit history for up to 7 years. Now I needed to dispute those accounts from my credit report. By disputing, what you're basically doing is by claiming that you don't recognize this account, or if the account was fully paid off, you are asking the appropriate party to respond back to the credit reporting agency. The party has 30 days to respond back to your dispute. If they do not respond back within 30 days, legally, the credit reporting agency has to remove that account from your credit. I went ahead with every single one of the account that was either fraudulently reporting on my credit history, if the account was fully paid off, or if the account was 7 years older, I disputed them all. As most of the credit agency was not able to respond back in time because I did it in a specific time, I think because of that, which I'm going to come to later, now my credit was getting to the point where it was like a blank slate, and I can now start rebuilding my credit. Now, there's a saying that goes, no credit is better than bad credit. With no credit, the bank most of the time will give you a loan with obviously higher interest rate and a stricter loan term because the banks don't know what your credit history is. But when you have bad credit, the banks already know that your creditworthiness is next to none, and they're hesitant to give you any credit cards or any loan. At this point, I had to go as the bank for a credit card. The card that I was given was a $300 secure card from Capital One. A secure card is when you give the bank $300 in advance, and in return, the bank gives you a $300 credit limit on a card. You have to treat this card as a credit card and make payment exactly how you would on a normal credit card. From the bank's point of view, the bank wants to stay on the safe side. In case if you default on the card, the banks will not be out of the money as they lent you. I accepted my fate and accepted the card and started using it. First and foremost, what I did was every month I was using the card for essentials like gas or groceries. However, I never utilized more than 20% of my credit limit. What that means, since the limit of my card was $300, in a month, I never spent more than $60 out of the card, or I never let the balance go over $60 on the card, as it was 20% of the total credit limit. This is called the credit utilization. This accounts for 30% of your score. This is essentially a ratio of how much credit you have at your disposal versus how much of it you utilize. Maxing out your cards or nearly exhausting your credit limit will lower your score as you're perceived as a riskier borrower by the bank's eyes. Then it comes to paying the bills on time. This is the most impactful factor of your credit score, constituting 35% of your score. The bank wants to know how responsible you are with your finances, and the way they determine that is by how well you manage your finances by paying your bills on time consistently. I did not pay the entire balance on the card every month as I had a little bit of revolving balance, but I was paying my bills on time on the dot. But I was using the card. One misconception, when you have a credit card, that should help you boost your credit, which is completely inaccurate. Because if you only have a card, which is an open account, but you don't utilize the credit, the banks cannot establish your payment history to determine your creditworthiness. Therefore, when you have a card, you should use that card and pay the bills on time. Granted, These cards don't really have any perks or benefits of holding other than helping you building your credit. If you want to know more about the cards that I'm currently holding and what are their benefits, let me know in the comment section below. After a few months, I started getting invitations for multiple other secure cards. Now, here's something to keep in mind. When you have bad credit, that does not mean that you are not going to get invitations for credit cards or even secure cards. There are so many small banks who would actually finance or give you a loan or give you a credit card, but those are extremely predatory. They really don't want to help you build your credit, but they put you back in the cycle where it's really hard to come out of it. I started noticing that I was getting invitations from these mom and pop financial organizations who promised me that my credit will get better if I use their card. I steered clear from them and only used Capital One as it was the best offer that I was getting at that time, and which was somewhat of a known bank. I decided to go on with them and I received another invitation from them for another secure card, but at this time it was for $500. I jumped on that opportunity and opened up that account as well. And I started using that card exactly the same way as I was using the other card, keeping my balance below 20% and always paying my bills on time. After a few months, I started receiving an influx of invitation from different banks. Citibank, Discover was offering me credit cards. However, this time it wasn't for secure cards. With a lower credit limit though, but it was an actual card. These cards were low tier to mid tier cards. This is the factor of credit history that makes up 15% of your score. Lenders wants to see how long your accounts have been open and if they're in good standing. I saw it opening up so many other invitations and I jumped on every single one of them. I treated those cards exactly the same way as I was treating the other two Capital One secure cards. Speaking of treatment, I see that 97% of my viewers are not subscribers of my channel. Now, I have a goal to grow this community 1,000 strong by the end of the year, and I need your help with that. Consider joining the community by clicking the subscribe button below. Now, credit cards are an important part of your credit building. However, what helps you the most is if you have different kinds of loan on your credit, such as mortgage, car payment, which requires a set amount to be paid every month, which helps you build your credit even faster. This factor is called type of credit. Contributes 10% of your score. Lenders prefer you to have experience handling a variety of loans to demonstrate that your financial maturity and capability in managing credit cards, auto payment, lease payment, mortgages, and so on. As I mentioned before, as I was driving a 10 to 12-year-old crooked vehicle, I was in the market to get a new car. Now, I knew with my immaculate credit history, I was not going to be able to lease a car, as lease usually requires 700 plus credit score, and my credit was somewhere around 600 at that time. So I've decided to finance a car instead of leasing it. I bought a BMW 5 Series with $10,000 down, which was financed through Santander Financial. Santander did have a higher than normal interest rate for me due to my mediocre credit score. I started making the payment religiously on time every month. Besides my credit cards, now I also have the car payment. Within a short period of time, my credit score boosted. And I started getting offers from top tier cards such as American Express, Chase Sapphire, Citibank, and then came the OG of personal cards, American Express Platinum. I approved every single one of them and opened up multiple lines of credit with every bank, utilizing my credit the exact same way as with my Capital One secure cards, and had all the top tier cards. The final factor that contributes 10% of your credit score is the inquiries. See, each time I was applying for the card, there was a hard pull on my credit, which was causing my score to take a hit. Once I had all the top tier cards open that I wanted to have, I stopped applying for any new line of credit whatsoever. Lender sees this as too many activities on your credit report and considers you as a riskier borrower. I contacted Capital One and closed down the 2 secure cards that I had with them. At this point, it was not necessary to have those cards with a lower credit limit, plus it was a secure card. And all the mid-tier cards, I did the exact same thing with them. I contacted them, asked them if they could upgrade me or give me a higher credit limit. If not, then I asked them to just cancel the card. Now, I closed those accounts after I made sure that the accounts were fully paid up and they were in good standing. Now, there's also a misconception that when you close an account, that your credit goes down, which is completely true. When you close an account, your credit does take a hit of about 5 to 6 points, but it recovers soon after if the credit is in good standing. It does not really matter in the long run. However, it is also recommended to keep accounts open for a longer period of time for the age of the account. If the account does not have any annual fee, you can keep the account open or downgrade to a lower tier card, as it does not hurt. I just had way too many credit cards and needed some room in my wallet. Now, I don't have any concrete proof and it could be just a hoax, but the fourth quarter of every year is the best time to start preparing your credit. You see, the financial institutions are mostly very busy with the taxes in their books. I started repairing my credit during this time. I disputed all the accounts that were derogatory and reporting on my credit, waited 30 days till they could respond back to it, Most of them didn't, which allowed me to get those derogatory accounts out of my credit report. But just because you have bad credit, that does not mean you're doing financially bad. I received 9 signs that I was doing financially well, and you can watch this video right over here. Thank you for hanging out with me. See you in this video. And offers you favorable